The sixth annual Neighborhood Best Practices Conference. So I'd like to give you a round of applause, making this happen. You know, this is when we really come together to show the great things that are going on in each one of our communities and learning from each other. But you know, what we've heard over and over from each year is the best thing about this is the coming together and networking with each other. You know, there are those times I know that, you know, we are having a hard time and feel like we're beating our head against the wall and up against all odds, but we still continue to push on. And that's something that I'm so proud of that all of you do each and every day, that we continue to push on, push forward, and because the reason is for your community. You know, sometimes I say that I have, you know, a relatively easy job compared to you all, because the thing is, you go to your work every day, and then after work, you go back to work, working in your communities. So I really appreciate the commitment and dedication to your various communities, and and to keep on pushing on and doing what you're doing, because you really make the difference. Sometimes people say, I'm only one person, but you are one person that is making a difference, and we know that is contagious, and that will push on, and that will get others to do the same thing. So again, I appreciate everything each and every one of you are doing. And you know, when we talk about collaborations and being able to make things happen, it does take, you know, commitment without collaborations is counterfeit. And we understand that, because we've got to do things collaboratively to make things happen. So we could not do this conference without our partners in this, in which those partners are City of Columbus City Council, the United Way of Central Ohio Neighborhood Partnership Center, Lunch, and been longtime sponsors of the program. I think ever since the first year was Fifth Third Bank. And then we also have Lowe's, who has been a constant partner of not only the City of Columbus, but of the Neighborhood Best Practices Conference. So please, put your hands together for our partners in making this happen. So, you know, with partnerships and bringing people together, you know, we feel as though that, you know, sometimes we need a little recognition. You know, because I think that, you know, members of our community don't get recognized, I feel, enough for what they do and for the hard work that they've been put in throughout so many years, up to the 25 years and going on. So our office, in collaboration with our city council member and city council member, Eileen Paley, she is a chair of the administration committee, and so we have worked together on so many programs and outreach and working with the community, and her advocacy and commitment to the community definitely shows through to our office, but also to the community. So she came up with an idea that says, we really need to really lift up and raise up those community members out there that are doing some great things, you know, hard choices. So we said, let's put out some nominations. Let's put out the request for nominations, and that happened. And so if I could bring up Councilmember Paley, put your hands together for Councilmember Eileen Paley. She made it. And so there were some nominations that you press on. A few words, Councilmember Paley.
Good morning. Good morning. Yeah, that's great. Thank you for being here. I also want to thank my partners in this conference, the United Way, Mr. Ryan Edwards, as well as the incredible Sharon Ware. Yay. I want to especially thank the committee who has met all year since the last conference, probably the day after the last conference. Last year, I'm a big person. I'm going to quote Joyce Beatty, because I've heard her say this a couple times, and it just goes to this morning, so I'll steal it from her. But she always says at the end of her speeches that the two most important words that she's learned is thank you. So this conference is, I know you're going to work hard today and you didn't want to get up, but thank you for being here. But the reason why we started the awards part of this conference last year is to thank you. because I think people need to be rewarded for all the hard work they do. And it's the opportunity to recognize those who have unique ideas and success stories. One of the other criteria for these awards is that it recognizes neighbors who have been successful with ideas that can be easily copied and taken into other neighborhoods to do. So, by the way, this is the second year that we have done these, and we encourage you all to be thinking of who you will nominate for next year. We didn't get a lot of nominations this year, so next year, your community people send us who you think is doing the best job in the city of Columbus. So now, without further ado, and I have a surprise at the end that Director Bell is really nervous about, because he hates when I do surprises. So without further ado, we will get to the awards.
Okay, so I will read the award category and the winner, and then Councilmember Paley will then read what the nomination states and why this person should be deserving of the particular award. So, ready? All right. So, the first award for Best Community Garden is the Linden Garden Association.
The Linden Garden Association was actually nominated by two people. It's Carissa Coleman, leader of the Linden Garden Association, oversees what she calls Community Garden 1, a peaceful place and a community garden 2, a green space visible from Cleveland Avenue. Rosemary Foster Moonerland supports the garden at the old fire station number 18 on Cleveland Avenue. The flower garden is dedicated to the firefighters who serve the neighborhood. Finally, Yvonne Jones works all around the Linden area, planting flowers in places like Salem Church, the Four Corners at Cleveland and 11th Avenue, and others in effort to lift up and beautify the neighborhood. Yvonne was named 2014 Growing to Green Community Gardener of the Year. And they also, the LGA and the Three Sisters Garden encourages community beautification, increases access to fresh produce, and raises awareness about health and wellness. Children plant and harvest vegetables and learn the importance of bees and creating a butterfly habitat. They were nominated by Barb Seckler, and I think that's it. So, congratulations, Linden Garden Association.
How about a nice round of applause again? Best Community Garden.
I was just informed that Carissa Coleman, who couldn't be here today, was also nominated or won the 2015 Creative Garden Neighborhood Improvement Project of the Year. So these ladies are busy. And last year, if you weren't here, Nick Stanich from Franklinton Gardens won the Garden Award. And if you're not on Facebook voting for them again for their grant, get on Facebook for Franklinton Gardens and vote for their grant. Thanks.
All right. Now, the next program, the next award goes to the best community project. That is the Substance Abuse Solutions Committee. The Substance Abuse Solutions Committee. Put your hands together, and there's someone there here.
Okay, the Best Community Project was submitted by Judy Cernacki. The Substance Abuse Solutions Committee is working to educate the community about substance abuse and make people aware of resources to stop using and preferably not starting in the first place. They hold an annual walk on the Saturday of Red Ribbon Week and are in their second year. This dedicated group of citizens have been meeting monthly for 2 years to help educate themselves about the issue and to plan and implement events. This year's Red Ribbon Walk will be held on Saturday, October 24th, so you still have time to go. In addition, this group has joined with the ATOD Subcommittee of the Southside Families and Babies Infant Mortality Initiative and will also hold a parent night sometime during Red Ribbon Week. For more information, contact the Southside Neighborhood Pride Center Manager, Joanne St. Clair, and this was submitted by Judy Zarnecki and Joanne St. Clair. Thank you.
And I'll accept on behalf of, okay. The next award for the Best Community Collaboration. That award goes to Reverend Norman Brown of J. Jireh Ministries Church Incorporated. Are they here? All right.
The J. Jireh Ministries are improving the quality of life in the East Main Street near East Side. J. Jireh is becoming the area primarily development organization working on improving the quality of life. The objective is economic development, Kimball Farms Civic Association, the goal being to improve neighborhoods by volunteers' work of its members. And it's non-denominational, his church, and it was submitted by, I believe, Reverend Norman Brown. So, thank you.
There you go. For our last award for this morning is for the Columbus Police Liaison Award. So, one of these officers have received the Columbus Police Liaison Award. That award goes out to, how are we? That award goes out to Officer Brian Newsom. They wrote in, Officer Brian Newsom is an engaged, responsive, and dedicated Columbus Police 19th Precinct liaison officer who jumped right into the challenging position with no problem at all, and like he has always been here. He has solved many problems and takes the time to get to know his coordinators and the neighborhoods he serves. Officer Newsom understands the complexities of the hilltop and the issues we face, which helps when dealing with people and problems. He is quite deserving of the Columbus Police Liaison Officer Award, and I hope we are fortunate enough to keep him for many, 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 many more years. Officer Brian Newsom.
Wait, who nominated?
And who nominated him was Miss Lisa Boggs. Thank you.
Are you ready for my surprise?
Oh, you're surprised?
Are you ready for my surprise? Hold on, don't show you anybody yet. And I want to recognize Officer Poole, our first liaison winner in the back. Thanks for coming back, Officer Poole. It was a little biased last year because he's my liaison officer and I love him. So anyway, thank you, Lisa. And anybody who works with Lisa on a daily basis definitely needs an award because she's the Energizer Bunny. So my team at City Hall is so awesome that I decided that we needed a Columbus Champion Award. And I knew if I discussed it with Director Bell, then he would take over and I wasn't gonna let him. So, because as you know, I'm controlling. So I went out and spent my own money on this award because I didn't want anybody to know about it, number one, because they would stop me. And it's for one of our city employees that goes above and beyond the call of duty on a daily basis, and not that they're all not Columbus champions, because they are. So I want to recognize Abdi and Guadalupe and Director Bell and Toya and everybody from Community Relations. But my City of Columbus Champion Award, only picked by me, is somebody that everybody in this room knows, I'm sure, and she's talking, so she's not even going to know I'm calling her name. It's Gail Gray.
Well, I think I know a little bit about Gail Gray. She is a very hardworking staff member, team member. Really, when it comes down to working in their neighborhoods, connecting community with resources, she is the person to do that. And I'm sure if any of you have worked with her, then you definitely agree with us on that. So we appreciate all your service to the City of Columbus, Ms. Gail Gray.
Thank you
and,
so much.
And definitely of the Neighborhood Best Practices Conference.
Yeah, I get to be in the middle. I've never got one before. Thank you. Thank you.
One of our collaborators, one of the collaborations that make this thing happen is the United Way. This is, has been a strong partnership, not only with the Neighborhood Best Practices Conference, but also with the city, with other city events, and with just general community. And so I would like to bring up, and he's around here.
Okay,
Oh,
but why is coming up?
Ryan Edwards of the United Way Neighborhood Partnership Center. Mr. Ryan Edwards.
Thank you, Napoleon and Councilmember Paley, for the kind words. Good morning and welcome from United Way of Central Ohio, your United Way. I'm Ryan Edwards. I lead the Home Impact Area and Neighborhood Partnership Center there. And I'm very excited to be here this morning. As Napoleon and Councilmember Paley mentioned, this is the sixth opportunity for us to partner with the City of Columbus on this great event. And it really serves as the centerpiece of our work, and we're so happy to be able to share it with you today. So I'm going to go ahead and jump on the thank you train and just make sure that the thank yous are represented from United Way. We do want to thank the Office of the Mayor, City Council, and our great partners at the City of Columbus Community Relations Commission, Gail Gray, Napoleon, all the folks that were mentioned. This event for me, it doesn't happen without the help of our great staff. And I know that her name was mentioned, but she's an integral piece to the neighborhood work that happens in the City of Columbus. And so I do want to make sure that Sharon Ware is once again lifted up. And yep. I've heard a couple people say today and introduce me as the person who leads the neighborhood work at United Way, and while that's very flattering, I think we all know who really leads that work for us. So thank you, Sharon, for guiding me through that work on a daily basis and making me feel welcome here. Want to again thank our sponsor for lunch today, Fifth Third Bank. Want to thank the Downtown High School. This has been a great partnership, and this has been a great space for us throughout the history of the conference, so thank you for that. Finally, and most importantly, I want to thank all of you for being here. It's the residents who live in and care about Columbus neighborhoods. It's because of you that this conference exists. We know that this is the sixth conference, but this is actually my fifth one and fourth in this role. I came in, felt a bit of an outsider, and throughout the experience that I've had here, all of you throughout these years have made me feel welcome. So when I step to the podium now, I feel like I'm surrounded by friends and family, and we're all walking down this path of community transformation, improvement, betterment together. So I want to thank all of you for welcoming me and embracing me in this work. As many of you know, United Way of Central Ohio is committed to improving lives and strengthening communities by creating opportunities that lead to a good life, and we do that by investing in the interconnected areas of education, income, health, and home. But we know that it's not just the investments that we make in those areas that make things happen. It's how we engage with one another. We know that community engagement is centered to community and civic life, knowing each other, understanding what's going on in each other's lives, being able to depend on one another, sharing stories, breaking bread, listening to one another. Those are all important aspects of community life. We want connections in the places that we live. We want a sense of community, and we know that those connections strengthen the places that we call home. And that's what today is all about, making connections, learning from one another, sharing experiences. It's our hope that you take what you learned today back to your neighborhood, make an impact on your community, and come back next year and share your experiences with us so that we can all further this journey that we're taking together and continue this learning experience that we have with one another. I'm proud to be in the room with each one of you. I'm humbled to learn of your experiences. I look to you for advice on how we can improve our work at United Way of Central Ohio. Again, we're very proud to co-host this conference with our friends from the city of Columbus. Thank you again for being here. Listen, learn, and make it happen today. Thank you so much. Next, I do have the distinct honor of welcoming our next guest, Mr. James White. James White Sr. is a senior master training management consultant and executive coach with over 25 years of corporate, education, and government training and development experience. He's the owner and operator of Performance Consulting Services, a business performance training, development, coaching, and consulting firm located in Columbus, Ohio. James is committed to sharing his experiences, insight, enthusiasm, and energy with individuals, groups, and organizations. And just from our perspective, Mr. White has been very instrumental in United Way's delivery of programming throughout this community. He can be seen in our Neighborhood Leadership Academy and the multiple training opportunities that we've offered in neighborhoods, and it's folks like Mr. White who bring our programming to light. So if you could please join me in welcoming Mr. James White. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I want to start by extending my thanks and appreciation to Sharon Ware, first of all, because Sharon always says, Jim, we need you. Come on down. Can you do a presentation for us? So I want to thank her for that. United Way and also the City of Columbus for allowing me to come and share and participate in your program this morning. Something else that Napoleon Bell just bestowed upon me when he mentioned the fact that raise your hand if you've been in the community for over 25 years making contributions. He let me know that I am one of the elders in the community. So thank you, sir. I appreciate being the elder in the community. What I want to do today or this morning is just to take a little bit of time to share some views and perspectives with you as it relates to the title of your conference today, which is Neighborhood Best Practices. So in receiving the invitation, what I said was, what is it that I can share with the audience as it relates to neighborhoods? So what are those best practices that we should be looking at and that we should be focusing on? So I've identified some that I hope will make sense for you and I think are alive and well in every community that we live in. I recently did a book with two of my co-partners, and the book was called A Better World. The purpose of our book was to look at this whole notion of diversity and difference. And what we tried to say in that book was organizations, communities, companies that can take diversity that exists within their organizations and pull it together and get it aligned are those that are going to be successful. So in thinking about that, that transferred right over to what we're talking about today. When you're looking at neighborhoods, what do you have in neighborhoods? You have diverse people, diverse populations. You have all ages, you have all ethnicities, you have all backgrounds, and you have different socioeconomic statuses that is within those communities. So the first thing I wanted to do was to say, hey, how can I position this? One of the ways that I can position this is by saying this. United States of America has a lady in New York City in the harbor, and she has a torch. And the torch is being held up, and what is she saying? Bring me your tired and huddled masses yearning to be free. And as a result of that, we have a lot of people coming to the United States of America to the degree that we probably have over 150, 160 different ethnic groups. And many of those people are right here in our community. The data says this when you look at differences, when you look at diversity. It says if we give an assignment to a diverse group of people, and we give that same assignment to a homogeneous group of people, the diverse group 99% of the time will end up with the best overall end result, best overall end program. Now, what is it? What makes that diverse group produce the better results? Not that the people in the homogeneous group don't have the same level of intelligence, but in the diverse group, what do you have? You have built-in brainstorming. You have people with different views, different ideas, different attitudes, and so what they do, they capitalize on those differences. But the challenge with the diverse group is this. If I don't start to value and appreciate your difference, and you don't value and appreciate my difference, and we don't value and appreciate each other's differences, we have a clash. So the key piece is, who's in my neighborhood? What are those uniquenesses? What are those differences? And how can I mobilize them in a manner that's going to allow us to be really healthy and be successful? So in this piece here, I'm looking at neighborhoods, and I said, what are those practices that we can look at in the neighborhood that can make us healthy, that we can manage? I identified 4 things. I looked at neighborhood and community. My take is a neighborhood does not necessarily mean it is a community. And I'm going to share some information and data with you around that in a few moments. The second thing I wanted to look at is pathology. I say pathology, but they say, Jim, say pathology. So pathology, right? So pathology. Pathology talks about what are the causes and effects that created your community. My belief is this: if you don't understand what it was that created your community, you will not know how to work effectively in that community to get the results that you're looking for. The other thing that we looked at was health. What's the health of the community that you're in? If I'm in a healthy community, that means it can thrive, it can grow, it can ward off all of those kind of crazy things that could happen that could shut that community down. The last thing, neighbors. So I'm going to take a little time and go ahead and touch those. Now, I know that you're running late, so does that mean instead of 30 minutes, I only have 10 minutes, 15 minutes? Somebody talk to me. What kind of time are we looking at? No comment? You give me a carte blanche. I'm going live. All right, okay, all right. Okay, I'm going live. So the first thing I want to do is to look at, this is off center. First thing I want to do is to look at neighborhood. When we look at neighborhood, of course, I did the Google like everyone does to get information. So neighborhood says this: people living near one another. Now, what does that mean? I live near you, you live near me, but do I know you? Do you know me? We may not even know each other. The other piece that I looked at, it says a neighborhood, an area within a city or town that has some distinct features, allure, and attractions. My conclusion was this: if I live in a neighborhood, one of the things that drew me to that neighborhood may not have been anything to do with the people that are in the neighborhood, but it may have had more to do with some of the attractions. So as I have up here, that's not on the screen, some of the attractions are, it may have been the park that drew me to that particular neighborhood. It may have been the schools, or maybe I like living in a loft community. Maybe I like living by the water. I want to get up in the morning and go out and see the water. Or it may be a park, because I want to get up every morning and I want to go out and run through the park. But the bottom line, it was the attractions that pulled people into the neighborhood and not necessarily the people that's there. Consequently, what we find is that a neighborhood may be absence of relationship. Usually it's low relationships. I don't know my neighbors. when we get up in the morning and when I leave the house, I give them that politically correct wave. Hi, how you doing? Oh, I'm doing fine. See you later. And when I come home at night, I give them that, how you doing? How was your day? It was fine. But what happens in the neighborhood frequently is we really don't get an opportunity to know the people. We don't take steps to be able to make those connections that allows us to become a living entity that allows us to thrive. My example, I'm going to give you an example. I don't know if I'm taking a risk when I do this. My example of a neighborhood, I live in Franklin Park area, 131 Franklin Park West. Franklin Park, when I moved there 30 years ago, I really feel it was a community. I knew everybody in the community. They knew me. We would stop. We would talk. Sometimes people would invite you over for a little something, right? I had a really, really good time. But over the years, what has taken place in that community, because of the fact that it's expensive to maintain a large home. Some people just decided to move out of the community. Some people got older and could not maintain it. The taxes went up. So we lost a lot of folks that lived in that community. Since then, we have a number of people that are moving in. But guess what? I don't know them. They don't know me. Got some white folks moving in. Got some black folks moving in. We even had some Asian folk moving in. I said, wow, we got some Asians in our community. That's wonderful. But I never had a chance to meet them. They've never had a chance to meet me. So our community has become what I call a neighborhood because it's lacking that relationship. So the second piece I want to share with you is health. So when you think about health, what is the health of the community and what would be the health of the people who happen to be in the community? Again, I did some Google. Google gave me root words and all those kind of things. Here's what I went for. I went for health says that I am whole, that I am complete, that I am without injury, I'm uninjured. The other piece that I liked that I enjoyed on that was a state of being complete physically, a state of being complete mentally, and a state of being complete in terms of social well-being. So as an individual, I want to be healthy. If I wasn't here right now, I would be at Easton riding that bike up there, wearing myself out, trying to keep up with all those young folk. But every time I do it, it keeps me healthy. I want to be mentally healthy so that I don't have any negative stereotypical views or biases about someone who might look different than me, about someone who may live in a different geographic location, about someone who may be at a different socioeconomic level. And then what I want to do, I want to make sure that I'm well-being as it relates to my ability to socially interact and socially engage people regardless to who they might be. Now, I want that for me, but guess what? I also want that for my community. We want a community that's healthy. So when you walk through my community, I want it to look good physically. I want the roads to look good. I want the grass to be cut. I want flowers all over the place. I'm always grabbing something from Lowe's and planting it because it looks pretty. It just looks really, really, really nice. I want my community to be great from a mental standpoint, that we are open and we are receptive to whoever it is that comes into our community. And then from a social standpoint, I want to be able to do like the famous guy out in LA who said, can we all just get along? I want to be able to do those things. So when we think about health, this is what we think about. Having the means, possessions, and the resources to sustain myself and to sustain my community in terms of managing the everyday life and survival needs and challenges. So that's the piece around health. So we covered the health component. So therefore, now let's look at community, because remember, I think there's a difference between neighborhood and community. So as we look at community, the definition says this: a social group of any size whose members reside in a specific locality with shared governance and often having some common culture, some common historical heritage. So what they're basically saying, if I'm in a community, there's some commonality. And it doesn't necessarily have to be the culture. It doesn't necessarily have to be the ethnicity. It just may be the way we want to live, the way we want to conduct ourselves. It may be the way we want people to feel when they come into our particular communities. It also says a group of people leading a common life according to some kind of general standards, some kind of general practices. And what I wanted to really emphasize here is that I choose to live there. And I choose to live there because I like it, I like the people, I like what's happening, I like what's going on, and I want it to be healthy, and I want it to be inviting. So let's take a look at a community. If you notice when I talked about neighborhood, it said, this was wrong. The neighborhood said individual interest. This should say collective. That's my typing. My typing is messed up. This should say there's a collective interest if I'm in a community. And so in a community, it's very similar to that of the neighborhood, but the difference is we have high relationship. I know you, you know me. I know my neighbor. We talk to each other. We share with each other. If you're out of town, you don't have to tell me to watch your house. I'm going to watch your house. If I see somebody over there that I don't know, it might be your cousin, but if you didn't let me know your cousin was coming in town, guess what I'm doing? I'm rolling up over there and I'm saying, why are you in the neighborhood? Do you have a key? Do you know the people? I mean, we should do that because guess what? When I'm out of town, I want people to do the same identical thing for me. So with this high relationship, this community, in some instances, communities will put a sign at the entry of their community. And that'll sign, you're now in XYZ community. And some will go so far as to even have a mission statement. And a mission statement is really telling you, if you're going to come up in this community, this is the kind of behavior we want you to exhibit. Because we don't put up with inappropriate behavior or anything that could pull us down as a community. We want to work together. They probably have meetings, they have a vision, they have a mission. People have roles, functions, and responsibilities, and all those kind of things that allow them to be able to be healthy, So I had to say, what community did I live in where I really felt that health? So I went way back. Now I'm talking about way back when I was little. Not little like you. That's way back, okay? And I went to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. In Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, I lived in the Negro community. That's another class. We'll talk about what that means. But in Pittsburgh, you had Negro communities, you had Italian communities, you had Irish, and it was okay. And I'm not trying to say that to have a healthy community, it has to be the same ethnicity. I'm just trying to share with you what went on in that community that allowed me to feel good about it. I could walk up and down the street. I knew all the stores. McTurner Funeral Home was across the street. Boyd's Barbershop was down there a little bit further. Mr. Hicks had 2 sons, so it was called the Hicks Superette. It wasn't called Kroger's. And not only that, they lived in the community. They lived above the store. We had Johnson's. We had Johnson's that had a chicken and fish market. Now, not the chicken and fish y'all talking about. They didn't fry anything. The chicken and fish that they had live chickens walking around, right? So you go and you pick your own chicken. You kind of squeeze it and make sure, is this a good chicken? This is a great chicken for me, right? And then you pick your fish. It was good. It was healthy. We had another Johnson's place that had the phonograph, the big LP records that are like this big, right? But everyone in the community knew you, and you knew everyone in the community. When I walked in, they called me by my name. My nickname was Bubbles. Hi, Bubby. How you doing today? How's everything? You okay? How's your family? How's your mama? And if they didn't call me by my name, guess what they said? Hey, baby. Hi, sweetheart. Oh, I love that. I got a story about that I'll talk about a little bit later on. But it was good. And here was the other part of it. If I did something crazy in that community, on the south end, by the time I got to the north end and got home, my mama and daddy and aunt and uncle, because everybody lived in the same area. We had 1,000 people living in our house. Everybody knew about it. And we didn't have the technology that you have today, that y'all young folks have. We had a telephone and it was a party line. Sometimes you pick up the phone and 17 other people would be on the phone. You say, Miss McGillicuddy, would you please get off the phone and give me a minute? I need to talk about some things. But what happened, it was the feeling that we had, and that's a kind of peace. Now, I want to kind of break this up a little bit and say, what's the problem? Why are we having some of the struggles that we do in communities? There's a pathology, or there are pathologies out there, which speaks to it creates an impact on the community. When I used to see lower socioeconomic communities and people not being able to pull off, I used to say, what's wrong with those people in there? Why don't they pull themselves up by their bootstraps? Why don't they do the kind of things that people in suburban communities do? And then I had to do some research and found out those communities didn't just happen. Those communities were designed. They were designed. And so what we're doing now is to looking at what created them. I'll give you an example. After the majority populations moved out to the suburbs, what the government said was, we want to do something to help the inner city community. So we're going to do urban renewal. And they did urban renewal. And urban renewal came and tore stuff down. But here's the data that we have. 85% of the people involved in those communities who were displaced were minorities. 95% of the property that was torn down was never rebuilt. They took the businesses, they took the homes, they took the vitality out of the community, and it immediately went elsewhere. So they left that community with what? Nothing. They didn't have the resources that they needed to pull themselves up by the proverbial bootstraps. There was even a place called Black Wall Street out in Oklahoma where they had a thriving black community. But the pathology in that area said, we don't want you folk to be successful, so they burned them out. They tore them down. And to this day, that community still has not recovered. So I want to lay a couple more on you. I apologize for this, but this part is really important for me. When you look at America between 1929 and 1950, a lot of people were poor. A whole bunch of folks was in poverty. The government said, we want to help those people in poverty, so they did something called Social Security. And so what Social Security did was to provide dollars and income and health benefits for people who were at a certain age. But the pathology at that time said this: we give that money to the majority population, but if you are domestics, if you are farm workers, or if you live in the lower, if you work in lower labor jobs, what happens is you did not have access. So what happened again? Some people were able to pull themselves up by their bootstraps because of those things. Other people were still stuck. No, let me go back. The next thing that happened, military, GI Bill. The GI Bill was designed to allow ex-GIs coming from the military to come out and not have to live in areas where they were economically depressed and move into suburban communities and have nice homes. They spent $130 billion of taxpayers' money to create the GI Bill. But based upon that dollar, less than 2% of that went to minorities because the government, FHA, Federal Housing Administration, did a study. And their study said, if you have a healthy community, and it happens to be the majority population, if you move one minority of any kind into that community, you will lose your property value. So what ended up happening was something called redlining. And what redlining did was the government said, we can't move you into the community because we're going to lose the value of our property. And so therefore the banks, the mortgage companies, the insurance companies, if I or my uncle applied for a home in the suburban area when he got out of Second World War, he's like 93 right now, they told him he could not move into that area. I often wondered why my Uncle Lawrence didn't buy a house early while they were always renting in the inner city, because he couldn't go anywhere else. So he couldn't accumulate wealth. So he was stuck in those particular positions. So this is redlining. And then someone came up with something called Levittown. Levittown was one of the first communities that was developed for GIs coming out of the military. Levittown built 17,000 homes in their plot, and not one minority could move into those homes. So where were they? They were stuck back in inner city where it wasn't thriving, where it wasn't growing, where you couldn't pull yourself up by your bootstraps because they didn't give them any kind of boots. So you might be in a community that was like that. Now, how do we know what those communities are? One of the ways that we can, how are those communities labeled today? They're labeled as ghettos. They're labeled as the hood, barrios. If your neighborhood has that kind of title, what that is saying is this: At one point in time, your neighborhood was thriving, it was popping, and the government came in and did that urban renewal and stripped it out, and what they left there were people who were struggling. You couldn't even get the kind of jobs. So we need to understand that. Now, here's why I'm saying it's important for you to understand it. What neighborhood are you trying to develop? What was the cause of that neighborhood? Because now people are moving back in. And why are people moving back into the ghettos and the barrios? Because why? It's close to downtown. I really want to believe that the government said, well, I think what we'll do is to fix some of those wrongs that we did a number of years ago. And we'll give people opportunities so they can participate. So here's what those communities are called. They're called target zones, empowerment zones, enterprise zones, at-risk communities, right? So if you live in one of those, that community was at one point in time in our society a thriving community. And based upon some of the things that happened by the system, some of the pathologies, they are where they are today. Now we have to pull ourselves up and pull ourselves together. So what we're saying, and here's what I'm seeing in these communities. You have people who have always been in the community, did not leave, they were able to pull it off. You have people from suburban communities saying, hey, I don't want to make that long drive. I want to be closer to downtown. So they're moving into the community. And they have a right to do it, and they're smart. You have people in companies who are close to the downtown area saying, why move way out there? With gas being what it is, I'm moving down. So in this community, in this hood, you have poor folks, you have wealthy folks, you have white folks, you have black folks, Asian, Hispanic, all of them coming together. And what do we have? We have diversity. Now, what has been happening frequently, if you didn't have the money or if I didn't have the money, someone just pushed me out and brought someone else in. What I'm saying is we need to come together as people and say, you can't leave my community. You've been here. Your parents paid the price. We want to pull you in, and we're going to do whatever's necessary to help you. And what's necessary is what? A job. Give them a job. If you give people jobs, they can take care of themselves. We need to move above $8 an hour. You can't do anything with $8 an hour in terms of you being able to live. So we need to move those kind of things. So how do we know if we have a stable, thriving community or an unstable, declining community? Here's the deal. A stable, thriving community has the power, the authority, the influence to acquire and control the needed and sustainable resources. So we can look at everyone in our community right now and find out who has that. Do they have it? And if they don't, then as the community, we need to say, what are we going to do to rally to make sure that they get those things? Because it's not the person that is the problem. It's the system that created those conditions and left those people in those particular areas. So what does that community look like? So this is a community. This could be a community or it could be a neighborhood. What happens in all communities and neighborhoods? They all have services. So look at all those services going into every community. Now, the difference in a healthy community and an unhealthy community is this. If I'm a healthy community, when you bring services into my community, I have some say-so. How you bring it in, what you bring in, what you don't bring in, the times that you bring it in, because I have the power and control and authority to influence those decisions. If I'm an unhealthy community, they come in, do whatever they want to do. Let me give you a quick example with McDonald's. If I'm Mickey D, and I'm going to move into a healthy community, guess what I know I have to do? I need to make sure that my building falls in line with the codes of that community. So maybe the nice little sign that I want to have up there, that's not happening in that community, right? Maybe the architectural design has to match that of the community. Maybe the entrance ways have to be done in certain ways, because in that community, you just don't roll up in here and do anything you want to do. But if McDonald's moves into a community that is not stable, guess what? They can do what they want to do, when they want to do it, any way that they want to do it. And the people in the community are so glad they're there, because why? Dang, first of all, I got something for the kids in the morning, right? And the second thing, I can at least get a job paying $8.50 an hour. which we're hoping they bump that up to that $15 an hour. So that's the difference between that healthy community and unhealthy community. So in closing, here's what I want to talk about. To me, the most important person, the most important factor or practice in doing this is the neighbor, the neighbors who live in the community. That's what we need to look at. A group of people living together or in the same locality who share interests and share a sense of identity. So there's that commonality, there's that common connection. So what I've done is to identify 4 behaviors that neighbors might exhibit. We have some neighbors who I call victim or have been victimized, surviving at the bottom end of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. They physiological needs, they need housing, they need food, they need shelter, they need safety. But they're not making enough money to be able to pull those things off by themselves. I can't expect them to jump out and do all the things that someone who's at the other end of the spectrum is doing. These are people who lack resources for their own survival. To me, they have been abandoned by the system, and they cannot sustain themselves at the level that they would like to, so it's going to be difficult for them to sustain the community itself. The second level, these are people who are passive, hard-working people. They looked in that community and said, whoa, there's some houses down there that I can get for a very inexpensive price. I can go in and fix that bad boy up. I can live a quality life. I know, though, I'm going in a depressed neighborhood. So they move in, they fix the house up. For safety reasons, they put up a big fence. They get a good security piece around it. They get good lights. And at the night when I come home, I pull in my house, pull in my driveway, and I'm not messing with people on the right of me, and I'm not messing with people on the left of me. And when you come talking to them, they say, I got mine. You better go ahead and get your own. Now, those 2 people in the community, we need them, but it's hard for them to kind of make the contributions that we want. So what we want people who are active. Let me give you my definition for someone who's active. The active person is the person that I can define with 10 2-letter words. Those 10 2-letter words are this: if it is to be, it is up to me. I'm going to take care of myself. I'm going to make things happen. I have the jobs. I have the resources. But here's the other part of what they say: but I can't do it by myself. I've got to include other people. So those are people who are stable, and not only that, they want to reach out and pull other people in. If they see a victim that's out there, they're going to go down and say, how can I help you? There's a job opening at my organization that I think you could really fill, and they're going to influence people to pull that person into that job. So what they do, they're concerned about the community, they're concerned about their own home, and they want to create stability and health within their own community. The last person is a person that I call highly active. These are people who take ownership for themselves, and they take ownership for the other people. These are people who are at a position in their lives where they can take the extra step. They can go the extra mile. And they want to do that, and they are out there doing it. These are ones who will take a risk. They'll go and support the community. They will also challenge the old status quo law that kept that community in that position. And then that's where your challenges start to come into place. But that's what we need. So when you think about it, what I think about myself in my own community, where am I? Am I the victim? Am I passive? Am I active? Am I highly active? In that, everybody has a role, a function, and a responsibility that they need to do. So, in closing, what I want to say is this. Keep in mind, what I was looking at was a neighborhood. A neighborhood does not make a community. A community, you need people, you need interaction, you need relationship, you need work. Also, what is the pathology that created your community? Is that pathology still operating in your community? And do you have the influence of people in the community to stop that pathology or to identify a pathology that will help your community grow? We want to look at the health. What's the health that you have? And then what's the health of the community itself? And then last but not least, the individuals. And each one of us play a significant role in that, and we want to take responsibility and make it happen. So I hope the information that I've shared with you makes some kind of sense. I hope you can use it throughout your session. I again appreciate the time. Mr. Bell, I turn it over to you, sir. Thank you much. Thank you, folks.
Again, let's put your hands together for Mr. James White. Thank you so much for that education that we all need all too often about our neighborhoods and how we can make them so much better. So we appreciate those words. Also, we have some books for sale over there from James White. And, make sure that you go check that out too. Lois is waving it over there. That's a great thing. If you liked what you heard today, he has more information in that book. Now, we did this year a new thing, which was promoting the community. We wanted you to promote your community. We wanted you to send in a video of great things that you're doing in your community. And we're going to do this each and every year. But this year was the first year, and we have an incredible prize for, I think it was not only a first place prize, but I think we're going to do something also for the second and third place, for all those who put some effort into making a video. So what I want to do is we're going to start the video, and we have them all. We're going to show you all the videos. They had to be no more than 2 minutes long. And so the community members put this together. And so remember, next year, we're going to grow this thing, so we want even more entries in for next year. But so if we take it away, we'll show the videos here real quick that were submitted for the Neighborhood Best Practices Conference.
The South Central Commons Block Watch started about 2 years ago when Sherry began walking through the neighborhood and picking up trash. Pretty soon a great group of people came together and started cleaning up the area, taking care of a lot of the abandoned properties in our neighborhood. We began having regular events like the National Night Out, a spaghetti dinner fundraiser, and Christmas caroling. We participated in citywide events such as Kick Butt Columbus, and even won an award from the Sheriff's Office for being one of the most active block watches in the city. One of our biggest projects started when the city tore down an old burnt-out house in our neighborhood. The south side of Columbus has some of the greatest economic and health disparities in the state of Ohio, so we decided to transform the empty lot into a community garden to ensure that everyone in our neighborhood has access to fresh fruits and vegetables. With support from the City of Columbus, the Columbus Foundation, and Scott's Miracle-Gro, we were able to construct a garden with 12 raised beds. The idea behind the garden was simple. Any community member could enjoy the fresh fruits, vegetables, and flowers from the garden, regardless of their ability to contribute to the garden's maintenance. The record rainfall this year made our garden thrive. We had more tomatoes than we knew what to do with. The extra fruits and vegetables were brought and given away at our Block Watch meetings and donated to a local food pantry. In 2 years, we went from one woman picking up trash to having one of the most active block watches in the city. And in 1 year, we went from a burnt-out house to having a community garden that's helping to feed our neighbors. And the best part is, if we can do it, you can too.
Hello, my name is Barbara Greathouse, and I just enjoy my neighborhood. I was glad when this Opportunity Center was here. I enjoy seeing the people come in and want to go to the different classes. And it does my heart so good, so that's why I really enjoy what I'm doing.
My name is Sam Briscoe. I volunteer for the society up here. I enjoy doing what I can to help the neighborhood and the people in the neighborhood. I'm totally committed to doing whatever I can to help out.
I'm Anika Boudreau. I live in the Marion Franklin area. I'm a basic computer course instructor at the Opportunity Center. We're making a difference and we're changing lives in our neighborhood. Please, we want to change the world. We're offering so much to everyone, and we need to get the word out.
Devon Jones, fostering a community. I'm starting my day, getting ready to go in and stock the clothes closet at Glen McKinley High School. We'd like for our students to have Panther pride and stay in school, so they need to be in uniform. Docker pants, polo shirts, and a belt. Thank you. Good morning. When a student comes into our closet and they need to have something to wear, they can see what the uniform attire is to be worn for the day. Usually try to allow not more than 1 or 2 students in at a time, and there is a small dressing area back here that they can try on their clothing. This was initially started, it was just more like a lost and found. My sisters and I, with our nonprofit, decided that it would be better if it could be set up in a department store setting. So we were able to get these wonderful clothes racks so that they're not falling on the floor. To put the clothing on, you had the pink belts for the girls, black belts for the boys. These chairs I actually reupholstered the school colors. Their colors are maroon, black, and white. Socks or underwear. Do try and clean the closet up. The biggest thing that we always need are volunteers.
Summer Jam Westgate is a grassroots celebration of music and art in Westgate Park. It reaches out and showcases all that's good on the hilltop. Summer Jam grew as a result of wanting to bring together all of the hilltop neighborhoods to celebrate local talent, life, music, and art in a festival environment. This year's Summer Jam was extra special because not only did we install the very first public art sculpture on the hilltop, but we brought awareness to the decline of the monarch butterfly, encouraging everyone to plant milkweed and giving everyone a chance to experience monarchs in our tent. In the future, Summer Jam wants to bring more public art to the hilltop, and each year we'll be focusing on a fresh new theme that brings awareness to a global concern. Summer Jam should be chosen for the Neighborhood Best Practices Video Award because we're reaching out to hilltop residents, bringing neighborhoods, families, friends together with art, music, and joy.
Really cool. There's a lot of really cool vendors, and it's been a lot of fun. Good job. We'll be back.
My family, we lived at 626 Seymour Avenue, which is in this community. And around 1963, the federal government began to tear down the houses in the streets in this community, and they began to build I-70 and I-71. And ever since they tore the houses down and they built the freeway, this community has really taken a turn for the worse. It has become a very marginalized community.
My biggest hurt is watching the kids struggle and go through so much
and not having someone really understand what's going on in these children's life.
Almost every child that has come to our summer program this year is either in foster care or living with grandparents or aunts or uncles. Columbus Parks and Rec has a summer feeding program where they provide breakfasts and lunches to sites all over Franklin County and beyond so that kids can eat during the summer, and they've chosen us as a site and provided us with meals at no cost to us so that we can feed the kids breakfast and lunch every day.
During the summer, part of the math, there's adding, subtraction, division.
And we have a great bunch of young people who come in and will help tutor the kids through their lessons every day. We have a wonderful group of women who come every Tuesday morning, do arts and crafts with the children all morning long, and to take them out in the garden and teach them about gardening. And we've just had a good time going on field trips to a farm up in Johnstown. We got to pet goats and see chickens and miniature horses. So for 8 weeks, we try and give them as much as we can give them so that they can feel loved and that we can maybe just fill them up a little bit.
We are so proud of Berkeley Road. Located in the Near East Side of Columbus, Berkeley Road is a part of a neighborhood that is diverse, unique, and thriving. One of our favorite things to do on our street is take care of our yards and keep our street clean. It's simple, fun, and everyone can do it. All you need is a pair of gloves and a smile. Picking up litter helps increase the value of our homes. It keeps our streets safe for young children to play on, and it helps build a sense of community among our neighbors. I hope that you will join us in keeping Berkeley Road beautiful.
So, as you see, these were submitted by the community. And so we're so proud of the community for doing this, and we hope that this continues to happen for the next conference and so on. And even if there's other ways that we can lift up the community, send in your videos too, even before the next program, because we want to be able to put those on our website, but showing the great things that each and every community is doing here in the city of Columbus, because we know it's happening. We just want to make sure everybody else knows that it's happening. So with this contest, in a sense, we said, well, what we're going to do is we want to award a little something to the winners, or to the winner, but everyone's a winner, but to the winner of the contest. But once we got the videos in, we said, everybody needs to get something, because they put time into this and effort, and we really appreciate that. So the first place winner will get $500 to their community, to the ones who put together the thing, but to reinvest into your community. And then the rest of them, because we had a total of 6, the rest of them will get $100 each. So we do what we can do, but we love what you are doing. So Mr. Ryan Edwards is going to help me. If you didn't already give it away. Oh, also, if you're tweeting, for all the social media people out there, if you're tweeting, you can do it, word #NeighborhoodBestPractices. #NeighborhoodBestPractices. Now, for the winner.
Are we going on 3? Or?
For the winner of the the community video project goes to
the video for Summer Jam.
Summer Jam. So do we have any representative from the Westgate Summer Jam? Yes, come on up here. Come on up. You got to come on up. Now's not the time to be shy. You just made a video. Come on in the room.
In the front.
All right. Best engineer, West State Summer Jam. All right, congratulations. Great job. Thank you. We look forward to your next submission next year, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And all of you submission next year. Thank you so much, Ryan. Thank you. Oh, well, you can help me out with this one too. Okay, so the next recipient, we have the Dan Charles Award. And the Dan Charles Award, we began awarding this from a deaf friend and community advocate who had passed away a couple years back, who really spent his life making a difference in the community on the South Side, and he just was tireless and working with the community, working with young people. And so we began an award called the Dan Charles Awards, and for those persons, or for that person who really represented those qualities of a great community person, a great advocate for the community. And so the winner of that, the winner, drum roll, yeah, there you go. You want that? The winner of the Dan Charles Award is
Katie Radford.
Katie Radford. So, I know you're looking around. You're saying, well, where is Katie Radford? Well, Katie Radford is down at the Regional Neighborhood Networking Conference in Bowling Green, Kentucky. So, I just happened to be down in Bowling Green, Kentucky at the Regional Neighborhood Networking Conference. And so I presented her with a certificate down there and letting her know that this was coming, but she wanted to send a little message. So if we could cue up her message.
20 years ago, I walked over and they told me it couldn't be done, that the South Side would never, ever get things done. I met a man by the name of Dan Charles, and he became one of my closest friends, and I worked with him closely, and I followed his example as close as I could, but being the mouth of the South, I had to do a few things a little differently. I worked very hard. I knocked on every door in Southern Orchards to form our community, and I got signatures from every door so that we could become an R2 residential. And we are very proud of our area. And I hope that every section of the South Side and the whole city of Columbus becomes like Southern Orchards. Getting this award was a complete surprise. No one, absolutely no one, suggested or even hinted. I wasn't even really sure I was coming because I didn't know whether I wanted to drive by myself. And I finally got 2 riders, and we drove down, and I never, ever, all these people, and I got that award, and I can't say how much I appreciate it. Thank you very much from the bottom of my heart to all the people who have voted for me, and for all the people who have helped me over the years.
Katie Radford, very, very deserving person of that award. So we appreciate the nomination of her, and I was actually very ecstatic to give her the award, because at the Regional Neighborhood Networking Conference, they were giving out awards, one they call Stella Stewart Award, which is much like the Dan Charles. So when I was up on stage, I got to give her that award. So people's tears welled up and what have you. So it was very cool. So I was glad to be there and glad to be able to share that with you. So moving on in the program, that's all the awards, but I want to, our next speaker is a speaker who has worked with the city and for the city for a long time, and has been an advocate of young people and then all the people here in the city of Columbus. So what I would like to do is bring up Andrew J. Ginther, President of City Council. Andrew Ginther was unanimously elected to serve as President of Columbus City Council. City Council President on January 3rd, 2011. He's been a member of council since 2007 and has served as the chair of the Finance and Economic Development, Public Safety, and Public Utilities Committee. His top priorities are job creation and economic development and building healthy, safe, and strong neighborhoods. Please put your hands together for President Andrew J. Ginther.
Good afternoon. So thrilled to see so many friends here today and to celebrate the great work of the leaders in our neighborhoods and communities that make Columbus such a special place. So I am happy to be with you to celebrate our community's best and brightest. How about another round of applause for all of our award winners here today? You represent our community's best and brightest. You are leaders in every sense of the word, and I am proud to call you my friends. Columbus is a great place to live and work because we have special people who are willing to come together on a cold, wet fall Saturday to talk about what's working well in their neighborhoods and what are challenges and what we can learn from one another. Because Columbus is not a finished project. The reason this city is so special is that we are ever changing, ever innovating, ever reforming, ever improving. We have a great foundation, foundation 200 plus years in the making that started in our first neighborhood, Franklinton, where Lucas Sullivan started our great journey. But it's a journey that's had lots of twists and turns and great neighborhoods that have literally popped up out of fields or been reborn out of closed warehouses and places of employment. Neighborhoods rooted in amazing places of worship and education and community centers, the places that you help lead and guide every day in your neighborhoods. We're a shining city on a hill that offers families from around the state, the country, and the world a brighter tomorrow. We care for one another. We never pit neighborhood against neighborhood. We work for the common good in lifting up every neighborhood. We know that one person's success doesn't have to come at the expense of another person or neighborhood. It's what makes Columbus so special. And just like Columbus is home to people from diverse cultures and backgrounds, our neighborhoods are distinctive and have their own personalities, their own challenges, but their own opportunities as well. Your mission today here is simple: listen, learn, and share, and make our neighborhoods better for everyone. And I want you to know that you have a friend, a partner, and an ally in our great mayor, Mayor Coleman, City Council, City Auditor Dorian, City Attorney Pfeiffer, and all of those that serve you every day. We can't reach our full potential as a city until every family in every neighborhood is sharing in our success. And so the relationship that City Hall has with you, the best and brightest community organizers and leaders and neighborhood advocates, has got to continue to be strong. I am so happy to introduce our next speaker, because many of you know that the issue of infant mortality and better birth outcomes is a top priority in our neighborhoods. We know that there are 8 neighborhoods in our city that represent about 15% of the births, the total births in our county, but 40% of the deaths. And we know in this county, 150 children die every year, 3 per week, before their first birthday. And African American children are 2.5 times more likely than white children to die before they turn 1. Anybody from Linden here? And in our beloved Linden, one of our great neighborhoods, is where this tragedy is most focused and the challenge is the greatest. And that's why when we set out our goal to reduce infant mortality by 40% and cut that racial disparity in half by 2020, Linden, the south side and the east side, were the places we decided to focus our efforts first. We're going to be adding neighborhoods every year during the next several years to help us realize our goal. But friends, this challenge, this crisis, and I believe our great calling as a city and a community. If your focus isn't on the first year of life, what could be more important? To make sure that more children have healthier starts and access to resources, to start kindergarten ready to learn and be successful in their lives. This is at the root of our quality of life in this community. And if New York and Boston and Baltimore and other cities that are larger, more diverse, and poor can tackle this issue, there is no reason that you and I, working together, can't do the same here in Columbus. Our kids are counting on us. Our families are counting on us. And I need your help. So I am very honored and pleased to introduce one of the great leaders who's helping to lead this initiative. Someone that is probably no stranger to most of you, a dynamic leader and organizer, someone that can bring people together to get results for our families. It's my honor to introduce to you Erica Clark-Jones, who's the Director of Community Engagement for the Celebrate One initiative. Please welcome her to the podium.
Good morning. Good afternoon. How are you? I need a clicker. Thank you. Hello. How are you? This room is beautiful. It is so great to see all of you. I have watched this Neighborhood Best Practices Conference come alive over the last, 15 years? 10, 15 years you guys have been doing it. It's awesome. I want to congratulate Community Relations Commission, Gail Gray, United Way for a job well done. Congratulations to all of you. The other thing I want to say is a thanks to Council President Andrew Ginther. So a lot of you may have heard last year in 2014 about the Greater Columbus Infant Mortality Task Force, those meetings that were going around. Some of you, I can't stand behind a podium. I'm one of those people that move around, so I'm just going to stand right here. So last year, the Greater Columbus Infant Mortality Task Force convened at different locations around Columbus. Some of you participated in those conversations, but there were leaders everywhere, all different sectors, nonprofit, private, public, all came together. And they came together because Council President Andrew Ginther said, we must do something about this. That's why they came together. That's why we have Celebrate One, and that's why we're here today dealing with this issue head on. So I want to thank you, Council President Ginther. So I can't see. This is just logistically challenging. So again, my name's Erica Clark-Jones. Now I work for Celebrate One as the Director of Community Strategies. My office, though, is in Columbus Public Health. I started in the mayor's office. Actually, I started in the Mayor's Action Center in 2000 alongside Mary Funk. And some of you all may know Mary Funk. God bless her. She made us into the advocates that we are, didn't she? She absolutely did. And then from there, I worked in the mayor's office on issues of housing and homelessness and healthcare. So I helped and worked alongside West Side residents in making sure we got the West Side Health Center built right there on West Broad Street. I also worked with the South Side. And most recently, our beloved project, the Reeb Avenue Center, just got opened a couple weeks ago. Love that project. And we also put together the Southern Gateway Plan, where residents started coming together even more, working together on things like rebuilding houses, getting rid of the vacant lots, cleaning up the alleys, improving the lighting. We got Project Blueprint from Public Utilities. We got everybody to come together to impact the neighborhood. So when they asked, can you be involved with the Infant Mortality Task Force and the work of the task force, I said, what do you need a person like me to do with infant mortality? I'm not medical. That's not what I do. I can talk to medical people, but I'm not medical. I'm a mom, but I haven't lost any children. What does a person like me do for an infant mortality initiative? And can we go to the first slide, please? Thanks. Thanks, Patrice. No, can you all see? It's okay. I think we might be okay. So what do you want a person like me to be involved with infant mortality for? So can we go to the next slide, please? Thank you. And they said, well, it's a crisis. We're in crisis mode. And I said, well, that doesn't tell me what I'm supposed to do. And they said, in order to combat infant mortality, it takes more than medical. It takes all kinds of interventions, and particularly neighborhood interventions. And so I'll go through a couple slides and we'll talk more about what neighborhood interventions are required, and then we'll come back around to this. So as Council President Ginther mentioned, infant mortality is a challenge we're facing as a community. And so let's make sure we all know what infant mortality is. It is the death of an infant after they take their first breath, but then die before their first birthday. So it's not a miscarriage, right? The baby has to be alive first, but then we lose them somewhere before their first birthday, which goes to our name, Celebrate One. Our goal is to get every baby to celebrate one. They measure it by a weird rate, how many children die per 1,000 births. So when you see something that says the infant mortality rate, what they want, the goal for the whole nation should be 6 deaths per 1,000. That's what the norm is, right? That's the nationwide goal, is to be 6 deaths per 1,000. I can tell you there are places in our city where the number is 40 deaths per 1,000. And that's just in a census tract. Next slide, please. So where are we as a nation? As a nation, we don't do well, right? The United States has an issue with this. We have to find out how we can do things better. But when you look at the 50 states, Ohio ranks 46th out of 50. So we're clearly doing something wrong. We're at the bottom here. Franklin County, as Council President Ginther said, we lose 3 babies a week in Franklin County. That's unacceptable. And in Columbus, we rank 36th out of 50 states. And then in Central Ohio, as Council President Ginther said, we're losing African American babies, thank you, more than we are with our white babies in our community. Why? Make sure I didn't skip a slide. Because babies are born too small, too soon, and they have unsafe sleep conditions. In addition, these are some of the factors that play into that. But all you have to remember, too small, too soon, unsafe sleep. We talked about when it comes to sleep-related death, just sleep-related. And what does that mean? When you leave today, on the registration table, there are some fans to remind you of this. Sleep-related deaths, when we were growing up, there was all kinds of advice, right? The mothers and fathers in the room, folks told you to swaddle your baby and put it on its side. Then some people tell you to put the baby on their tummy and so they can learn to lift their heads. Thank you, Miss Lois. There's the fans over there. Well, now here's the rule across the nation. ABCs, alone, back, and crib. Let's talk about alone. Alone means not on a couch, not with mom, not with a stuffed animal, not with bumpers in the crib, right? On their back, and in a crib. A pack and play serves as a crib. Okay, it's a safe sleep surface. That's what they're promoting. We lose 3 kindergarten classes, I think that's what our number is, 79 sleep-related deaths in Franklin County. So 79 of the 150 babies are just from not sleeping correctly. So what are we going to do about it? And this is where I talk about our approach. So the mission of Celebrate One is to reduce infant mortality by the year 2020, cut it in half. How are we going to do it? By helping moms and moms-to-be, making sure we have healthy babies, but also healthy communities. And these are our partners, by the way. Franklin County, I see my Franklin County contingencies in places in the room. There they are back there waving, thank you. Hi, Mike. He's on our committee. I got to stand. Okay. Columbus Public Health, Columbus City Council. We've got the State Health Department, as well as all of our hospitals and the Ohio Better Births Outcomes. So we have a lot of partners. It's not just us. It's everyone, because we recognize how serious the issue is. And how are we going to do it? First thing, we're going to improve the social and economic conditions in our neighborhood. We're going to focus on the health of moms and babies. That's our recommendations 2 through 5. We're going to reduce maternal smoking and household smoking, right? We have to do that. We're even talking about some policies for smoke-free housing. And then, of course, promoting safe sleep. And then we're going to track it all so that we can show other cities and neighborhoods how to do it. But the first goal, improving social and economic conditions, is what I'm responsible for. And I want to introduce Patrice Brady. Patrice, wave your hand over there. Patrice is in the Department of Development, and Patrice is a planner. So she's also neighborhood. So between them recruiting her and recruiting me, and us asking, why do you need people like us to basically prevent prematurity and sleep-related deaths to reduce the infant mortality rate, they said it's because place matters. Place matters. So as we discussed, infant mortality, babies are dying everywhere in our community, but they're dying more so in the red and pink areas, or red and orange areas on the map. So, Morse Road 161 area, Agler Road Cassidy area, Greater Linden, quite frankly. There's South Linden pockets, but there's parts of North Linden in that as well. Around Eastland Mall, Refugee Road, Courtright area. The near south side along the Livingston Avenue corridor, going all the way to Nelson Road, including Driving Park. The near east side, north of Broad, south of 670, Hilltop and Franklinton. Those are our target areas. Those are the areas where we're losing babies, we're losing too many babies. It's happening too often. And so, that's where we want to work. These are the 3 areas that Council President Ginther talked about, and we chose these areas first because we got to figure out what's working. We recognize every neighborhood is different. We're not going to take the same approach in each area, but we've got to learn, and we're learning in these 3 areas, and we're tapping into the existing resources in each of those areas, and that includes faith-based partners, businesses, residents, corporate partners, you name it. We need to find champions in each of these communities. Now, what I was talking about when they said why they wanted us in the work. So I don't know if many of you are familiar with Art James. He's the one that created this slide. There's a lot of versions of this slide. But Art James modified it, and he said the little guy in the boat, that's the medical community, right? And if it was a medical problem, they could solve it on their own. But the medicine folks hit the iceberg of infant mortality. And they don't realize everything that's below the waterline. What contributes to babies being born too small and too soon? All of these things. Every single one of them. Poverty, joblessness, access to resources, trauma. We recognize that. I know some of you have heard about trauma, trauma-informed communities in some of our practices. Hopelessness, stress, all those things. All of these things improve our health, or have an impact on our health outcomes. And this is what we have to work on together. And it includes our neighborhood groups, it includes our partners, like the county, United Way, all of our nonprofits, all of our faith-based organizations. I think Napoleon's going to give me the get off the stage sign here. But this is important, sir. Okay. And you see lower graduation rates, right? So we've got work to do. So it includes everyone, including the schools. So what are we going to do? Year 1, our sole role was to get out and engage folks in our Phase 1 neighborhoods. As far as I'm concerned, if we don't start talking and everybody being in conversation and understanding, we're not going to do anything. I just came back from a conference in Utah this week, and there was a community group presenting, and they had a slogan. And you know what it was? Nothing for us without us. I said, oh, I'm taking that back. Nothing for us without us. Don't come in the neighborhood, bring some new program without our input. And I take that to heart. And that's exactly what guides us every day. So, first thing we did when we started this work was we said, what's actually happening in the neighborhood? So we created profiles for our Phase 1 neighborhoods, and we've got those boards up here. You're welcome to look at them afterwards. We have them for what we call South London, but we recognize it's Greater London, Near East Side, and Near South Side. The remaining neighborhoods, the other 5 neighborhoods, the profiles will be done by the end of the year. So we list all the things that contribute to infant mortality in the particular census tracts that we're working with, but then we list the good things that are happening, right? Because it's the good things and the stuff that's on these videos that we're in, that's what helps improve the quality of life in neighborhoods. But then we want to be cognizant of those indicators that we're always trying to combat: unemployment, education, housing vacancy rates, and incarceration rates. First thing we do is we build a community team. After we recognize the data and publish that, we build a community team, and we've built one in all 3 neighborhoods. These are photos from our recent meetings, and we do this to guide the work and influence the plans, spread the work, because we want folks to get other folks into the conversation, determine the work that needs to be done in the neighborhoods, and how the work needs to be done. And so we were on a whirlwind tour, and I know Donna Heacho's in the room somewhere. Where are you, Donna? She was here. Did she step out? Okay. Well, Donna rode with us on a lot of these meetings, and Terry from Driving Park Civic. Anybody from Driving Park Civic in here? Oh, man. Okay. Well, anyway, we did a whirlwind tour, 16 meetings, 3 neighborhoods in 11 weeks. And we went through, this was pretty much our meeting agenda. Talked about the issue, the impact of race and place on our health. We did a social mapping of the problem, what causes it, and what are the causes, what happens as the result of a baby being born too small, too soon, or a baby that dies. What programs have worked in other areas, what can work in that particular area, and then building our model. Now, we're all about doing a work plan, right? The neighbors, the residents, the stakeholders are putting together a work plan with us. And from there, we're gonna make sure we got the information right, validate what we learned, do our work plan, and then dedicate resources to the plan. We did a similar model down on the south side with Ruth. You know how we did Southern Gateway. We figured out what we wanted to work on, and we dedicated resources and people to work on it. These, what you see in the boxes here, these are some of the themes that have come out of the neighborhoods. Teach advocacy. Teach us how to advocate for ourselves. Build and support faith-based entities. But clearly, the orange boxes, that's where it is. Build a culture of hope. And in some places, it's rebuild a culture of hope, right? The what used to be there. So here's what happens in 2016. We're going to start engaging the next round of neighborhoods. 2 neighborhoods in the spring, 2 neighborhoods in the fall, just to get the conversation going. Also going to start our intervention work in our 3 neighborhoods, the Phase 1 neighborhoods, and then we're launching the Celebrate One Connector Corps. Just 2 days ago, we found out that we got a $1.7 million grant to, thank you, really happy about that. We got a $1.7 million grant to train residents of these communities in these areas how to be certified community health workers. OSU is doing the training. We're paying for all of the training, and then we're paying for a year-long worth of engagement. So we're paying part-time. It's part-time, it's not full-time, but it is part-time. But we are paying for folks to engage people that don't normally engage with the system, right? Residents want to talk to other residents. They're the leaders in the community. You all know that. Reaching folks that we can't reach. So, and it's everyone from age 18, senior citizens. If you want to be a connector, you can. Lily Banner was on the cover of the Dispatch last week. That's the program that we're talking about. So we're very happy to do this, and we're going to do this in all 8 neighborhoods. That kicks off in January. Applications will be online in December. So if you want to apply, we want you to, because you all are the connected ones. Right? So we want to support the work that you do. So, how can you get involved? Number 1, become a Safe Sleep Ambassador. We're launching a new program at Public Health. I think we brought the flyers, right, Patrice? They're at the registration desk. You can be trained to become a Safe Sleep Ambassador, to train young women and new mothers on how to properly sleep their babies. Second, join your community work team. We've got Near South, Near East, and Greater Linden. Those work teams are engaged. We've got they usually meet the 2nd and 3rd weeks of the month, but as the other communities come online, please join the work team. Join the Celebrate One Connector Corps. Expect the announcement in December, and then get connected, right? CelebrateOne.info is our website. Everything I've talked about is on there. Follow us on Facebook, right? We do a lot there. And then, of course, follow us on Twitter. Here's my contact information, Patrice's contact information. We're coming to a neighborhood near you. Please join this effort. Thank you for having us this afternoon.
You've got to put your hands together again for Ms. Erica Clark-Jones on this very important, very important program. You know, when I hear raise a culture of hope, you know, that is very powerful words, because that is what we're all trying to do, is raise a culture of hope in our neighborhoods to really, and most importantly, you know, we spoke about healthy neighborhoods and healthy babies, and you know, we need to start with that as our healthy babies, because they are the future of our neighborhoods. So very important work that you're doing, and we appreciate all the work that you are doing out there in the community, and also all the work that all of you will be doing in the community to really impact that effort. I would like to thank everyone for being a part of our 6th Annual Neighborhood Best Practices Conference. And we are sure to hope to see you next year at this time, because it's always around the first, second week of October. But also, don't forget, we're doing a midway point get-together, family reunion of sorts, of all of you here, and also the past persons that have been a part of our past 5 years of Neighborhood Best Practice Conference.